Okay, so it's my privilege to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Coastside County Water District, Tuesday, March 12th, 2019. Could you please call the roll?
Of course. Director Feldman?
Here.
Vice President Michelson?
Here.
Director Reynolds? President Coverdell?
Here. And Vice President Michelson, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. So seeing a lot of members of the general public, which is unusual for us, would any of you like to address the board prior to the commencement of the meeting? Okay, thanks. So we have a fairly short agenda tonight, but we'll begin with the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any of the directors would like to pull or discuss?
No, I'm fine.
I reviewed the financials for this meeting and approved them.
Great. So I would entertain a motion, or?
Oh, sorry, I'll make a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I second the motion.
So it's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Director Feldman that we approve the consent calendar as presented. Are there any objections or discussion?
No?
All those in, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director
Aye.
Reynolds? President Coverdell?
Yes. Thank you very much, Joanne. Are there any meetings that were attended or director comments at this time?
None for me.
I've been doing extensive snow research in the Sierra, and I can tell you I haven't seen snow like this since El Nino in 1998. I think it's really great news for the Bay Area. It's certainly great news for us. The turbidity in local streams, I think, is a challenge right now for us, but it is going to produce a lot of local water, so I think it's fantastic. General business, and Dave, would you like to address the item A, approval of additional funding for professional services agreement with EKI, environmental and water for capital project management support?
Yes. On January 8th, the board approved a contract with EKI, actually approved continuing work that we'd begun with EKI in 2018 for the purpose of helping us manage our capital improvement program. And we let the board know at that point that the initial time and materials budget that you approved in January would be good through February, and that we expected our run rate to be about $15,000 a month. Lo and behold, it's past the end of February, and that $40,000 has run out. And so we're back asking for an increase in the time and materials budget for EKI. And I have noted some of the things that EKI has done for us. I think that EKI's participation has really done what we were hoping it would do, which is really get us going on some of these projects, things that have not gotten really enough attention. And I listed some of the things they've done and included as attachments some of the tools they've given us, including this schedule, which is sort of the centerpiece of our biweekly discussion of how all the projects are going. We told them at the last meeting that the staff here is having trouble keeping up with them, which is kind of a good thing. We're constantly getting review this, approve this. So we have 2 pipeline projects now in design, which just started, that are going to go to bid and at the end of this month. Those are the Bell Moon. Oh, Bell Moon's already awarded. I'm sorry. Those are the Casa Del Mar PRV project and the Ferdinand Isabella pipeline project. Those will go forward. I included an example of the hydraulic modeling they've done. They've revived the district's hydraulic model. We finally have it for the first time, really, in any of the work that people have done on the model. Staff sat down and we saw a display of what the model actually does. It was really cool in just making some decisions about the PRV project. And I think that'll really help us once we get our seismic evaluations of the tanks. The seismic evaluation design work that is on the agenda tonight resulted from EKI's efforts in putting together an RFP and soliciting bids from 3 different engineering firms. So this EKI, I just want to let the board know that this EKI thing is really working for us, and we expect that the result will be what the board has always wanted, and particularly Director Feldman, and that is you have approved the money to replace, maintain the district's infrastructure, and we really need to use that money and do those projects. So this is really moving us in that direction, and we recommend that the board approve a $75,000 in addition to the budget for EKI. And if Steve Tarantino has any comments, he's here tonight.
Would you like to address the board? Welcome to the meeting, by the way, and thanks for your help on this.
Thanks for coming.
I just wanted to say thanks for the opportunity. We look forward to it. The budget for $75,000 should be good through June this fiscal year. We've got a number of projects that, just keep at it. My children are out of college, so we're okay.
How much did you pay to get them in?
That was good. But at any rate, and it's been a pleasure working with the staff here. Everybody's just here to cooperate, and it's created a good team atmosphere, which allows us to move along and get things done. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Comments from the directors? Yeah.
Having heard my name taken in vain, I thought I'd make 3 comments. One, I was very impressed with the deliverables that you provided as part of the exhibit for the work they've done in terms of being able to understand what they did, how they did it, and what the time frame was. Also, the information regarding what they're planning to do and how they plan to approach that. So that was also positive. And so the second thing is simply to commend staff for coming up with a strategy, which leads to my third comment, that may actually cause the Feldman factor to be a thing of the past. If in fact they can provide the leadership in terms of what we need to do to meet the objectives of doing the capital plan that we've budgeted for and planned for, then I'm all for getting rid of that factor and just letting the work get done. So I just wanted to say I'm very impressed in general with the fact that we're finally, I think, making progress in getting to the point where we're going to see some real activity on these programs. Thank you.
I'm just really happy to see the model being used and the model being being updated over time, because there was a time when I believe the model was kind of misplaced. No one knew where it was, and it wasn't in use. And
8 years.
I have seen what a valuable tool that model has been. It certainly helped in getting us the El Granado pipeline approved with a 16-inch, showing that we wouldn't have to pump. It would be a gravity system, which saved us an enormous amount of money in energy costs. So I'm just really excited to see that that's back in use, back in good use. And I was elected multiple times on infrastructure renewal and full steam ahead. So thank you.
I would mirror what my colleagues have said, that I think that the work I'm seeing is really elevates our operation, and really I've 2 thumbs up. Looks really good.
I should, I'm neglecting, it's not me, right? We've got a great staff in the office with Taylor and John and Tyler. Names, I think you've met some of them, and obviously without them, they're really the core of what's getting done. That in team with the folks here is really the deal.
It looks really good.
I will pass it on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, while I'm glad to think that the Feldman factor could go away, I'm hoping it doesn't mean that the Feldman would go along with it. So I just want to make that one comment.
You're not
So,
lucky.
Yeah, well, I don't know if luck plays a role in this, actually, but, so I would entertain a motion to authorize the general manager to approve a $75,000 increase in the TM budget under the professional services agreement with EKI Environmental, Water for capital management support.
else make the motion.
I'll second it.
Do I have to read the motion? Or did
He read the motion.
Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Fine.
He did a nice job.
So it's been moved by Director Feldman, seconded by Director Reynolds, that we, and you know what we're going to do. All those, I'm sorry, would you roll call vote, please?
Director Feldman?
Yeah.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Reynolds? President Coverdale?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and, you're not obligated to hang around unless you want to, but,
There's a couple more things.
oh, okay, great. I should have known. It's a long drive for one item, I guess. Item B is the approval of professional services agreement with TJC and Associates, Inc. for water tank seismic evaluations. And would you like to address this?
Okay.
Thank you.
A main feature of our capital improvement program for the last several years and for the next few years is rehabilitation and recoating of our steel storage tanks. And we, beginning with the Alves tank, we have made it a practice to perform a seismic evaluation of a tank before we do a rehabilitation project on it. That was at the suggestion of Pakpur Associates. The seismic evaluation of the Alves tank, as you know, resulted in our dropping its operating level by 5.5 feet to make sure that it's sufficiently seismically sound in an earthquake. And the evaluation for El Granada Tank 1, along with the modeling now done by EKI, has led us to the conclusion that we can eliminate El Granada Tank 1 rather than rehabilitating it, and save that money and also save money on the site work we need to do at the El Granada Tank 1 site. So the seismic evaluations have been, I don't know if I'd call them a good thing, but they're a necessary thing. Our newest tanks are, the Alves tank is one of our newest tanks, and it's almost 50 years old. So some of these others are definitely need to be evaluated in this way. EKI took a look at our CIP schedule and said, well, why don't you, instead of lining these things up one after another, why don't you just do them all at once? And that was really the second time we'd heard that. One of the board members, I think, when he did one of these first, said, well, if we do more than one, can we get a quantity discount? So, if we hear something enough, we do it. And so we asked EKI, actually EKI volunteered to prepare an RFP that they distributed to 3 different engineering firms to give us proposals for the evaluation of 4 tanks. Cahill, Half Moon Bay tanks 2 and 3, and the Miramar tank. Those tanks are all scheduled for work in the next 3 or 4 years. So we got 3 proposals. We spent some time with EKI going over them in detail. Any of these consultants would have done a good job for us. In fact, Cornerstone Structural did our first couple of seismic evaluations, but we also liked the proposal from TJC Associates, and that's the one we're recommending. Their work is estimated to cost about $90,000. So based on paying about $40,000 and $30,000 for previous seismic evaluations, we're getting some economies of scale here. Getting the results of all these seismic evaluations will also allow us to take a better overall look at our tanks. We hope we don't get any unpleasant surprises out of these, but that's always a possibility. So TJC also had the most aggressive schedule. They'll finish their work by July, so we'll have those results to look at. And we're recommending that the board approves awarding this agreement to TJC for about $90,000.
I make a motion, we adopt. You want me to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Joanne really likes the way I read it.
Well, you did a good job, so.
Well, I know, but I want to spread the participation.
I make a motion that we authorize the general manager to execute a professional service agreement with TJC and Associates, Inc., TJCAA, for seismic evaluation of 4 steel storage tanks at a time and materials cost not to exceed $90,333.
I'll second that.
So it's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Vice President Michelson that we authorize the general manager to execute this agreement. Could you call the roll, please?
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Reynolds?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes.
That does seem like a really good price.
Well, no, I think it worked out.
Yeah.
It just, we should have gone
No,
for it
it's-
when we had 6. right? Oh, whoops.
A technical question on the coordination and management of this. I know EKI's been heavily involved in bringing these contractors to the table, getting the bids, et cetera. How does this happen when it's being done? Does EKI do the oversight management, or do we in the district? TJCAA talking to us? I'm just trying to get a flavor for that.
The original, when we start, they start with site visits, with gathering all the information we have on the tanks. We do most of that.
Okay?
There isn't a lot of oversight that goes on during the process. I don't know if there are any intermediate deliverables on these. I don't think
No,
there
but
are.
what we do is we track what's going on, right? They go out,
Just trying to-
geotech, you know, it would review that, what are they seeing, how's it shaping up?
Okay.
There'll be some give and take with what we find, what your staff finds,
Okay.
what they're seeing. You know, yeah, there's some management to it.
So you keep your finger in the pie.
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, that's part of our.
Okay, Mr.
And do they, the geotech, is that part of their group?
I think
Or
that-
is that like a subcontract in
I
there?
believe there's some geotechnical information available already.
Oh, okay.
We're going to use existing. We're not doing any
We're not doing-
geotech investigations as part of this study.
Oh, okay.
In the off chance somehow some decisions get swayed by what a geotech might find, then obviously
Yeah.
we might, but none of them felt they needed to.
Okay.
Well, the tanks are so old that if their soil was substandard,
Yeah,
we sure would have seen it by
We
now,
would've,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Not that the tanks are so old, but
there you
they're
go.
mature.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of contemporary, aren't
There you go.
they? Okay. Item C is the approval of the professional services agreement with TJC and Associates, Inc. for Denison Water Treatment Plant and Pump Station Standby Power Design Services. Dave, would you like to?
Yeah, this was James's item, but he's stuck in traffic somewhere on 92, so I'll do it. Another of our CIP items is Denison Water Treatment Plant Emergency Power. As everybody sitting on 92 today realized, the power can be intermittent, and it's great to have backup when it goes out, especially if it goes out for an extended period and we're depending on the Denison Water Treatment Plant. So just by chance, it turns out that we feel that TJC is the best firm to do this. They come highly recommended by EKI, who's worked with them a lot, and they have, we agree with that recommendation. They've given us a proposal to design the standby generators and the emergency switch gear for the booster station and the treatment plant for an estimated time and materials cost not to exceed $46,850, and we're recommending going ahead with that. We have $50,000 in our CIP budget for design this year and $400,000 for construction next year.
Could anybody come up with a ballpark what the installation would actually cost?
We don't have that yet.
I mean, yeah, obviously this will give us that.
Right.
Round numbers.
I really can't. I did.
$500,000.
I was just gonna say hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of dollars.
Yes, we have $400,000, which is a reasonable placeholder.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, these are, it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of metal, a lot of,
And what's going on with the Air Quality Control Board? There was a time period when you'd buy a new generator and 2 years later it'd be ruled out.
right.
Has that stabilized a little better at this point?
My understanding is, and it was actually from a conversation today with an engineer, Nelson, in our office, who's doing some generator stuff for Oklahoma Sanitary District, that the air board's put in place that by 2023, you have to meet more stricter
Right.
air quality requirements, and I'm sure we'll work all of that into this particular unit, state of the art. The air board's pretty good at putting something out there, you know, where maybe all the ways of treating the air might not all be in place yet.
Right.
But the air board likes to make you shoot high,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this is about.
I was in a client meeting and they were talking about pricing out a fuel cell because it eliminated the problem of the air
Oh,
quality
okay.
obsolescence. And
Yeah.
I know they're really expensive and I just was stunned. And they were like, no, because if we have to scrap it because of Air Quality Control Board,
Right.
we lose
You lose everything.
everything.
Yeah.
And it was stunning to me, and for a standby generator, it had some advantages.
How did it compare cost-wise?
It actually, they were moving ahead on it.
Wow.
Because, the other thing I did not know about them, I've never owned one, they start apparently instantly. And apparently they come online very fast. And that
I'm
was,
not that familiar with it.
nor was I. That's why I was very attentive to listen,
Yeah.
so.
How often have we relied on backup generators?
We recently, well, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, we ran the Nunes plant on backup power all day when PG&E
So,
fell.
I was here. We've got a lot of storage. I mean, does it really impact us to that degree where it's worth $500,000? Or a gravity system with days of storage? I mean, are we?
But you get one big fire and.
Yeah, no, I got to play devil when you're spending $500,000. These are devil's advocate
The
questions.
perception to the public, if there was a fire, and, they'd say, why didn't you have a backup generator? And that would be an ugly conversation to have with the public.
When was the last time we had a fire?
Well, I think that's a,
I've been here all my life.
I can tell exactly Cunha story.
I think
Yeah, but
that's,
that was a 2-hour event.
Well, it still
And
was-
it was all gravity fed.
3,200 gallons a minute, it's pretty.
I think that's a valid question to ask. I don't want to answer it off the top
Yeah,
of
no,
my head.
I'm just,
I think that's a good, one of the things that we're required to do under some new legislation is do a risk and resiliency assessment that includes a broad range of things like that, a lot of what-ifs.
yeah, the what-ifs could cost, there's no end to what-ifs. I
So-
mean, we have,
So, and I think that,
our money comes from our ratepayers.
That's
and,
where we'll
at some point, the what-ifs
answer those questions.
need to be considered. All right, thank you.
Well, I think these are good questions to make sure I don't know how we direct staff to please make note of these concerns and make sure that in the conversation with the consultant that we look at these options potentially and, maybe the risk and resilience question. So please, if we could encourage you along that line, it would be, I think, really smart. But I would love to entertain a vote on this if anybody wants to make a motion.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I recommend we authorize the general manager to execute a professional service agreement with TJC and Associates, TJCAA, for engineering, design, and bid document services for the installation of 2 standby generators for Denniston Water Treatment Plant, WTP, and Booster Pump Station, BP. We never called that a BPS. For a time and materials cost not to exceed $46850.
I'll second.
So it's been moved that we approve this recommendation of the general and authorize general manager to execute the agreement by Director Reynolds, seconded by Director Feldman. Could you please take a roll vote?
Roll us.
Mr. Feldman?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
I'm
Yes.
not used to
Yes.
being first.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, James has showed up. Do you have any comments you want to make about this?
Well, it's interesting, I moved from Pescadero to Pacifica to avoid the floods, and the power's out at the Devil Slide Tunnel, so they closed the tunnel, probably due to ventilation, so I think it's kind of interesting. The way I envision the preparedness that I'm suggesting to Dave and staff is in an earthquake, and we have a dire need to fire up Denniston, and we don't have power. It's just a matter of time before the next earthquake hits. I don't know if it's going to wipe out power and other water services. But that's the scenario I'm looking for, because a lot of times when it's stormy and the power's out, the turbidity is too high anyways. There's a couple locations just this winter where we could have been running Denniston and it was shut down due to the power outage. So I think we need to be prepared for big disasters, and that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for persevering in your travel to the meeting tonight.
Yeah, please apologies.
No, it's
Tardiness, but I made it.
no, we understand. I mean, I get it. Okay, item D is the approval of interview and selection procedure for candidates to fill the Board of Directors vacancy. And Dave, would you like to take it away? Thank you so much for attending the meeting. It's great to see your interest in the projects.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. That's why
Keep
we're
up the good
engineers.
work.
I understand. And would
Okay.
you like to take it away? Is it-
Right, at the February 12th meeting, the board discussed the next steps to fill the vacancy created by Arnie Glassberg's resignation. And the Human Resources Committee, Directors Michelson and Feldman, got the assignment to look at the protocol that we'd used the last time around, which was in 2012, the last time we used the protocol, make any changes that they thought were appropriate, and then schedule a special board meeting for the purpose of approving the protocol and interviewing the candidates. We put this on the regular agenda, so you'd have a chance to look at it and approve it before the special meeting starts. If you like, you could always approve it at the special meeting also, I guess. But the HR committee looked at the protocol we used last time and liked it and recommend that it be used again, and it's reproduced as an attachment to the staff report, steps 1 through 7. So,
Oh, okay. Now we know.
and
Well, I wanted to thank you both for getting together in the committee and bringing back this approach. It's an approach that we've utilized in the past, and in reviewing it, I think it's extremely fair and to all the people who've applied, and I think it gives us a chance to hear from each and every one of them. You know, we appreciate everyone coming out, taking your time to come down and meet with us. I didn't really see any issue with any of the steps in the process, but is there, anybody else have concerns or issues?
No, I just thought we might as well bring up how we're gonna deal with the one member who's candidate who's not here tonight.
So you're talking about the person who's traveling?
Yes, that's
Overseas.
Desmond.
Yeah, in my opinion, if you want my opinion,
That's why I asked.
we met him.
Yep.
He came down, he interviewed with us.
Yep.
He told us what his experience and concerns were. I don't know about you, but I've known him for years.
Yep.
So I've had experience with him. I've seen him in action on the Planning Commission. I think he served 10 years or something like that. So I personally feel like he's been interviewed. I don't think there's any,
Fair enough.
in my opinion, disparity.
No, I
based
just
on
wanted
his lack
to
of
put it
ability.
on the table and bring it up, because it is something that I wanted to make sure everybody understood that, because we had one candidate drop out, withdraw,
Yes,
and one's absent, and then, is everybody else here?
I think so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6. right?
6, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
Other concerns?
Do you want
I agree
to comment
with
on that?
Glenn and Ken.
Okay.
I think that we had the opportunity to meet him, and also the way we've set this up is we made the date, we had to revise it to get everybody here, and I think time is of the essence, we need to move forward, and I have enough information to move forward and interview the other candidates.
Okay, yeah, okay.
One thing that we just had been thinking about, or I'd been thinking about, is I do think it would be nice, it's a public meeting, but it would be nice, in my opinion, if the candidates could wait and come one at a time, if that isn't objectionable to any of the candidates, in my opinion. And the main reason I think that's important is because we're going to ask questions. I don't really think that it's as fair for, each person to hear someone else's answers and then come in. I think it's much nicer.
That was part of the protocol.
It is, but I'm just discussing it
It's-
openly.
We can't enforce it.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, we
it's-
don't
I
have a
did not
choice.
realize that.
And
I'm
so,
sorry.
so the
It's a public
candidates,
meeting.
the candidates have the ability to come sit in on these interviews. It's a public meeting.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's extremely important that we discuss this idea, because if somebody objected, then we have to decide if we're going to have them all object, or, just one person object. But we would really appreciate it. It isn't because we're trying to have some behind-the-doors process, but I just don't think it's fair. I mean, I guess it might be if we were all lined up in a debate, presidential debate or something, but for me, the answers to these questions are going to be important, because many of you, me personally, I don't know. Some people I do know, so I have some kind of ideas about what they might be thinking, but I think it would really be nice to hear fresh ideas from people that are interested in participating in the board. That's just my feeling about
Are
it.
we allowed to ask the candidates if they all agree to that?
We can, certainly.
Okay.
Are there any candidates that would object to that idea?
Shouldn't we bring in the three that are outside?
They won't object, they're pretty reasonable.
They're already outside.
They're out there playing, they're playing cards. I think they're playing cards.
I think they're arm wrestling over who gets to be here.
Hey, Jim and John, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your first name. Abe. Can you knock on those guys a little bit and ask them if we could speak to them? Can you guys come here for 1 minute? Is this a little too informal? I don't know.
I remember the last time I did this in 2006.
We were just discussing the fact that we would really appreciate it if we could interview one person at a time.
And he connected.
We can't cause that to happen, we can't force it, it's a public meeting. So it's up to you. If there are any of you that object to that idea, then it's not fair, for us to ask that, because then everyone should just be in the room during the interviews. So are there any of you that would feel somehow mistreated, or, it wasn't a fair sort of process if you weren't able to sit through the interviews? Does anyone object to that? So if we go one at a time, is that acceptable? Yeah, thank you very much. And then what I thought is we should put the names on a sheet of paper, put them in a hat and stir them up and have somebody draw those. Maybe we could get the camera person to draw them for us, so that the order is totally random. So could we do that?
It's good with me.
Okay.
The staff's working on that now.
Okay, all right,
That's like me in the big bucket.
Dab's working on the randomization of the interview.
good. And if any of you haven't really looked at the process, there are copies of it if you'd like to look. What we are going to do is, at the end of the interviews, we're going to ask each one of the directors to choose 3 candidates that they feel are the strongest. And then we're going to possibly tonight, make a decision and appoint someone. However, we may not. We don't really know that. It's not determined. And so I just wanted to let you know that will be the process. And, where it goes from here, I don't know. We've done this, I guess I've been on the board way too long. We need term limits probably for a person like me. But I've been through this process about 3 times or 4 times, and it works very well. There's a nice hat. I like it.
John Davis.
Oh, nice, yeah. It's got a rattlesnake on it, doesn't it? Okay, so does that sound acceptable with all you guys? So if you want to, maybe as we conclude the meeting, you could just find a place out in the lobby to make yourselves comfortable, and we'll call you one at a time. Is that okay? Yeah, thank you. So we don't need a motion to follow this process, right? We're just good, this is the way we're going to go. And are there any other items that we would like to discuss tonight before this meeting moves along?
You and approve.
I think the process is here, they're gonna
Okay.
follow it, I think it's fine.
Do we don't need to approve it, do we? Okay. And I guess you're going to attend a little bit of the time, but not through the full interview process, or are you going to be available?
Oh, whatever the board's preference. I'm here to kind of really help you with the process if you need that.
Okay.
If I'm going to be here, I might as well be here at the
Yeah,
meeting.
please, yeah, and you can't get home anyway. I mean, 1 is closed.
But it's totally up to the board.
You might as well hang out,
And there's
right?
more items on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think it'd be great to have you here.
Happy to stay.
Okay, so this is the approval of the interview process. We don't need a motion. I think we're in agreement on how we're going to proceed. There are monthly reports. We would like to hear from Mr. Durbin. Thanks for making such an effort to show. I got to tell you, the traffic light the other day, you just looked so ready. The truck looked ready, and you looked ready. And I was just really proud to be associated with you and with the Water District.
Thank you, I
I just
appreciate the
looked
morning
around-
greeting.
I
Took
just-
me a while to figure out who that was waving at me.
Yeah, sorry about that, you know. Yeah.
But I can tell it was a friendly face.
Yeah, I wasn't throwing anything at you. So if you could,
I'll be
Who's
brief
your
since you
report?
guys are up against the schedule.
thanks.
February was pretty wet, as you know, so we spent a lot of time dodging the rain. But we did manage to get 10 hydrants in. I won't list them, but they are listed here. We've got 29 hydrants changed out to date. It looks like we'll be able to do 18 more within the budget that we have of $140,000 for the year. Replaced an angle stop at Mizzen in the meter, relocated a temporary tank at Alves tank site, so it's not so out in the side of the neighbors. Cleaned and painted CSP, did some maintenance there, replaced the caustic feed line at Nunez and the alum sensors at Nunez. During February, we ran Denniston Reservoir, Pillarcitos Lake, and the wells. Denniston did start up today, I'm happy to say. We had to wait for the turbidity to come down a little bit. And then projects, Bell Moon pipeline replacement will proceed once we get the easements secured. Crystal Springs clay valve pump control valves are on order and shipping to us. We're working with EKI on Casa del Mar and the Grand PRV project and the Ferdinand pipeline replacement projects, and also working with Packport Consulting on the Alves recoding project. If you have any questions, I'm here at your pleasure.
I have one question.
Certainly.
Do we collect rainfall data at Denniston or at Nunes?
Yes, we do.
Would it be possible to publish that as part of our rainfall report?
The rainfall that I have in the monthly report comes from the station here.
Right.
It did get clogged up with some leaves, so I had to use the SAM rainfall data, which is usually right in line with what we get. Do you want both Denniston and Nunez? I'm not sure what you're asking for.
If you didn't mind, it would be great. You know, I don't need it daily, monthly would be enough. But I'd really like to see it, because I can't believe the variability between what we get here and, you know, balanced hydrological reports in Montera. And the difference is huge. It's like 4 or 5 inches. And so I think it'd be kind of nice to have a little bit better sense of where, when, and how much, if it isn't a pain.
I'll give it a try. I don't think it would be.
Yeah, and if it is, you come back and say it's just too big of a pain, I can't do it, I'm cool with that, but it just would be nice information, nice data.
And I believe if you have the weather station app on your phone, you could look it up as well, and I could share that with the board next month, how to do that.
Oh, that'd be.
Yeah, that'd be even more valuable.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
that'd
so
be
you guys
great.
could look at it as well.
Yeah, that'd be, if you don't mind, it'd be really, yeah,
Happy to do
fantastic.
that.
I can give you the Feldman Ocean Colony meter,
Well, that'd be good. Well, we got you, don't you have a rain gauge?
8 inches.
Yeah, cool.
For February?
My wife counts it, we're 22.5 inches already
Yeah,
in Miramar. And she counts it daily.
Feldman gauge.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, yeah. Anybody else? And are there any items that directors would like to add to
I
future?
noticed, was there some reason this water resources report has not been shown? Was Kathleen left early? No, there's no water resources report. I assume everything is copacetic
Yes.
and it's good.
Well, we fired her, there's so much,
Did we fire?
there's so much snow in the Sierra, it's like,
She got tired of being last, is that it?
She's afraid we're going to hire that person that says water use.
It's first time in a long time, I haven't seen her there.
How to
Trying to
use
keep
what
the
we-
agenda short.
Yeah, no, I
Want to leave
appreciate that, I
time.
just thought she was mad at us or
Yeah,
something.
no.
Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to adjourn the March 12th meeting in Coastside County Water District Board of Directors. Boom.
Take a break.
Thank
take a
you,
little
gentlemen.
break.
If you would
Are we gonna pick, you're gonna go out?
find a spot, and we'll come and let you know your positions in line.
So your view is that they have to show. I remember we did this and we gave the results and that was.
Oh, right.
We haven't-
I know, but we're doing it.
No, I'm just asking,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Brown Act says the board.
Do you need a name to write 'em on?
Oh, I couldn't follow what you're trying to do, Dave, sorry.
Okay, I just thought we did it that way before.
Yeah.
We were probably out of
He's gonna have
You may
to.
may
compliance.
have, but when I was at
Oh, pick